Today's meme of the day is... I think one of the most underrated aspects of Death Battle that many don't talk about is being introduced to new characters. Because, yeah, we all get excited when we see our favourite characters. But isn't there also that side of us that also is kind of interested to learn about franchises we've never seen before and they finally get into Death Battle? We're like, hey, let's give that a try. For me, and this is a recent one, hey, given the previous subject, I might as well bring this up. For me, it was Jujutsu Kaisen. It's like, yeah, I kind of knew who Gojo was. Like, I've seen the memes, I've seen the can he beat Goku, but I've kind of gotten bored of those type of videos. They're kind of repetitive. It's typical, like, this is a busted anime character, can they defeat this other busted anime character?
Yeah, I get kind of sick of the whole can he beat Goku thing or whatever. Here's my take. Could I beat Goku? Yes, by putting him for a shredder because he's nothing more than a drawing.
You know what? Fair enough. So, you know, but when they finally did reveal, hey, we're finally bringing a Jujutsu Kaisen into Death Battle, and it was a Gojo, I thought to myself, you know what, we're bringing Purple on, he's a big fan of it. He spoke a lot about it, and I did look at some TikToks and short videos to kind of get an idea of it. But, you know, and I was excited to learn more about it. I do think the episode didn't really do that much justice with both the characters. Because I don't think it hooked me into Death Battle in a way. It didn't hook me into Jujutsu Kaisen. But, you know, with that said though, the lead up to it, I think did kind of inspire me to, after the Death Battle came out, I thought, maybe I should give the series a watch. And I think at the time that episode came out, Season 2 was in the works, so, you know, after Season 1, Season 2 release, I was like, hey, I've got more episodes to watch. And, yeah, I got introduced to a brutal anime that, it's kind of a mixture of, like, Berserk meets My Hero Academia meets Dragon Ball. And it's also one of the few animes where I actually think the English dub is better than the Japanese dub. Like, okay, that could be that by...
Some of these VAs.
Yeah, now, I will say, you know, it's probably that biased because, hey, I speak English, so I probably relate to it a bit more. But the thing that was also kind of, that I thought was a big knee slapper was, when Gojo's win quote was, above heaven and earth, I am alone in the honored one. I thought it was like some badass one-liner he said to a villain before one-shotting him like he did in the Death Battle. No, that was something he said when he got high as a kite. He got stoned, and he said that while being upside down on top of a building. I was like, I'm both disappointed.
Hey Gojo, what do you think?
It's like, I'm both disappointed.
Hey Gojo, what are you thinking about?
Nothing. Just chilling.
Just thinking about how high above I am everyone else. That's because you're upside down.
It's like, I was both disappointed, yet I'm also, I feel like blessed. that badass line that they took for him just for that win quote for Death Battle is just a quote when he was high. Oh, it's amazing, I love it. It got me introduced to a lot of cool characters as well. Admittedly, it's one of those animes though where the main character has a lot to be desired, and from what I hear from people, that's kind of what everyone kind of gets. Like, the characters aren't bad, like the main character, but he's pretty much like, have you ever seen this anime? Yes. He's pretty much that. Like, I'd say he's like a more edgy Deku in a way. Like, he's quirky and he's enjoyable, but he's not inspirational at all. He's no Goku.
To be fair, at least he's not possessed by a giant demon.
Yeah, there's that. But, you know, it's a show that I would be like, you know what, people, if you really want to, like, visually as well, like, the anime is amazing. Like, the fights, like, I've seen a lot of people compare, but if there's like a lot of old school animes that you were to slow down to kind of look at the frames, some of them do look kind of cheap at times. Like, you know, as much as I'm a big Dragon Ball fan, if you were to slow down some of their original, or hell, even some of their newer anime fights, you can kind of see the bit they cut corners on, which I'm not just, you know, with how hard the anime industry is in Japan, I'm not surprised that for a lot of fast-paced fights, they do kind of, like, don't put that much detail into shots that won't matter unless you're slowing it down. But Jujutsu Kaisen have gone, when you look at some of their fights and you slow it down, you can see the amount of effort that goes into each character expression and stuff like that. Like, there's a moment when, like, Mahito's fighting one of the main characters, and when he puts his arm into a blade and slashes, you actually, if you slow it down, you can see one of the characters, like, reacting to the blade, like, from a far distance, and see his eyes like, oh, as it's about to hit him. Like, a detail they didn't need to put in. They could have like, it's not a detail they needed to do. They could have easily just painted just a simple image of him just looking like, oh, face for dodging the sword. But no, they went the extra mile to have him, like, react to the blade and be like, ah, and then dodge it. And, like, it's like a 1 second frame as well, and you can miss it. So I appreciate that effort, and I feel like it's probably one of my favourite animated animes as of now, just because I respect the work that goes into it.
I
Yeah,
can understand that.
yeah, it's a good anime. I'd recommend it, and hopefully after Goblin Slayer, I might introduce Bernie and my family to it. Mate, do you have like any new franchises that you've gotten into thanks to Death Battle?
I have 3. I just want to know if one counts.
Is it RWBY?
No.
Okay, I really thought you were going to throw that in there, so I was like, you knew about that before.
No, I know about RWBY, like, since day 1.
Yeah, fair enough. Similar to me.
Yeah. No, it was actually Attack on Titan because I started getting into that because I was getting into the whole, like, V-Mikasa thing.
I'm going to say no, that doesn't count.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, as I was going to say, you kind of got into that before, like the... I'm assuming you were a Death Battle fan at the time, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even then, I'm not sure if that... like, you didn't see Blake versus Mikasa and you said, I want to give that episode a watch. I want to watch that franchise.
Alright, okay, that's where we're going with it, fair. Alright, I've got 2 then. Sean, cover your ears. One of which was thanks to Tracer versus Scout, and that is Overwatch. And to be honest, I think it was just like Tracer in that episode that made me want to actually give it a go. But plus, my friends played it, so I thought, you know, this might be fun to all play together, and Tracer is my main. I play, well, Tracer, DPS, or sometimes I do different things depending. If you guys remember my friends from the Nuzlocke videos,
Yeah.
Jason usually plays as like Reinhardt or like just a tank, and the other guy plays support a lot of the time.
It's a shame your friend plays as the character that lost to Nora. Just stoking the fires.
Yeah,
there.
it's always yeah, it's always fun, and admittedly, sometimes when I pick Tracer as my character, I just go, "The cavalry's here, bitches," which is something she would not say, but it would be hilarious if she did.
It's also because she's British.
And the other one is Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like, I'd seen people talk about it a lot, but never really got into it. Kind of wish I did, like, before Aang vs. Edward, because that probably would have made me enjoy it more.
At least now you'll be able to enjoy his next episode.
Maybe. Depends how it turns out. Well, that, you know what, I shouldn't be saying that, but yeah, anyway. The world, the characters, Toph and Iroh especially, like, oh my god, they are the best. Like, just Toph's, like, sass and this, how she constantly makes jokes about her own blindness. When Sokka's trying to draw Appa when they've lost him, and everyone's giving him crap because his drawing looks nothing like Appa. Toph's just chilling, just going, yeah, it looks just like him to me. And Sokka's like, see, thank you, Toph, that's what why do you feel the need to do that? Like, if I ever lost my sight, I wish I would have that level of sass.
Let's hope you never have to deal with that, though.
Well, yeah. And Iroh, dude, he is like the best dude. I know this line comes from Korra, but it's something that I'm just like, that rings true in so many ways. And the quote is, if you're searching for the light, look hard enough and you will find it. But if darkness is what you are looking for, that's all you'll find.
Good life lesson.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy how a lot of kid shows back then were probably more like adult than most adult shows these days. Like, you know, most kid shows kind of teach a lot of children about responsibility, respect, and stuff like that. And most adult shows are just, what? It's like, you know, just because you're crude doesn't mean you're adult. And I guess we'll pass this on to Sean, because I'm sure he's got a few that he's gotten into thanks to Death Battle. Sean, you can uncover your ears now. Oh, right. John?
Huh?
Yeah, I was going to say... it's your turn.
I'm going to assume they talk nothing about Tracer versus Scout. If so, screw you.
Well, he talked about Aang as well. Oh, Jesus.
The fact you said as well confirms what he was thinking.
Jesus Christ.
God, screw you.
Oh my God.
No.
So yeah, Sean, any other...
So I assume it's my turn.
Yes, it's... You know, we were cussing out Mate before we were recorded, like, please don't be playing any video games while we're about to record. But then here you are not even paying attention.
I got told to cover my ear. I got told to cover my fucking ears. I'm sorry.
Ah.
I took that literally.
It's funny for a gag, but not when we're like, Sean, you also need to get involved.
Anyway, I think it's funny.
Oh my God. Yeah, it is funny. I'm not disputing that. So Sean,
Also, just throwing this out there, what I was doing was like the final preps for the finale of my Nuzlocke.
Yeah. So, Sean, any Death Battle episodes that got you into the franchise?
I got a couple, both from the same season, oddly enough. So I'm going to be the one that pulls the bandage off. It was RWBY first.
Funny enough,
I was in high school at the time. So, I accidentally turned my Xbox on, but I was in high school when I was catching up on Death Battle. So, I didn't really have time to enjoy a lot of the series that got on the show, because I was focusing on graduating, and I was probably, like, 15 when the episode got announced.
That's more than fair.
Yeah, I saw the episode, and I'm like, oh, this chick seems pretty cool. She has shotgun gauntlets. I'm picking she wins. And my friends are like, over the Final Fantasy character? Shotgun gauntlets. They sound cool.
And then those guys were, well, you know what, I was going to make a really bad joke, but I shouldn't.
Those are some of my friends, man.
I was also going to say, like, they were ahead of their time.
No, we just really didn't have no idea what RWBY was, and I checked it out, and then I realized, oh, hey, it's from the same people who posted Red vs. Blue. Man, I wondered what happened to them.
They're coming back now, so, you know, they get knocked down, but then they get back up again.
Bernie Bones buys it back.
And then I kind of thoroughly enjoyed watching RWBY, and I thought it was a really good show afterwards.
You
I
like
do have to
to
convince my other friends to give it a shot because reasons.
you liked it so much you even made a D&D campaign over it. Link in the description.
Pretty much. It was just a really good time actually seeing a show like that, just because I was like, oh, hey, what do you know? There's a cool character with shotgun gauntlets. I want to check out her show now.
It's like
Again, I'm 15, guys. I'm very simple.
To be honest, that was a simple thing for a lot of boys back then. You know, they might not be interested. The moment you add a gun, it's amazing. In fact, I guarantee, if Power World came out at the time a lot of us were in college or secondary school, there would at least be a whole franchise dedicated to it now, just for the fact it's just Pokemon with guns.
Nah, not my school. I was at one of those schools where the only games you could play without getting ridiculed were FIFA and Call of Duty.
Well, there you go. Power World would have been a success then, because there's guns. It's like, yeah, you want to shoot Pikachu in the face? What? There you go.
You want to shoot a penguin as a rocket launcher?
Oh, I need to get back to playing that for the channel. That's such a fun game. But do you want to say your second one? Because mate kind of had a twofer. Do you want to have a second one, or do you want to let me say my final two, and then I'll let you guys have the show?
I kind of want to add to Sean's first one and just say, look, shout out to Kier Armstrong. Same thing happened to him. In fact, it was because of that episode and him getting into RWBY, he's like, well, we actually ended up bonding and became friends to this day.
I had a kind of similar case with Yang the Insane, funny enough. We both went to the same college, and she was into Red vs. Blue, I was into Red vs. Blue, and she thought, you know, when we were meant to be studying in the classroom, I would regularly put my headphones in and listen to, like, shows and stuff like that. And one of them was RWBY, and she checked it out, and she was like, wait, that's on Rooster Teeth? I was like, oh yeah, have you never seen the trailer to it at the end of, can't remember what season it was, they showed the Red trailer.
10.
Yeah, and then, yeah, we both got into it, and, I mean, to this day now, she's freaking making her own RWBY fan game, so it definitely shows the impact that show had on her. But, Sean, is there another franchise you want to quickly say, or do you want to save that for last?
I can save it for last, even though it's from the same season. I'll let you have your quick two.
Yeah, I'm just going to say these final two, because these are the two major ones that I think did inspire, and the final one might surprise you guys. But this one was relatively recent, and funny enough, it was against a franchise that I grew up with as a kid, and that was Fire Emblem.
Everybody cue the Mr. Krabs face.
So, but the thing that was kind of interesting, I feel as if it wasn't for Purple really downplaying Dimitri, I probably would have just looked at it as like, oh, it's just another Nintendo game. But my idea of, you know, Fire Emblem came from Smash Bros. It's like, oh, that's Roy, that's Byleth, everyone's favourite character, and after playing Three Houses, he is my favourite character, he is a Chad. And yeah, the other characters, I'm just like, yeah, they're from Fire Emblem. They use swords. That's
hey,
all.
I like Ike.
They use swords. To be fair, Ike is a Chad as well. He is a gay Chad. I don't care what people say. That man is banging. I've seen this.
And he's jacked.
I remember seeing someone on YouTube talking about, like, why can't we have more muscular, like, masculine anime characters like Ike? I'm like, so you wanted to f dudes? Because Ike is definitely f***ing Sorens. I'm just saying. I've seen the support cutscenes. I'm like, those two are but you know, but because Dimitri was not really that sold to me in the death battle prediction, I was kind of like, yeah, he doesn't sound that interesting. But after doing my reaction to the death battle, and yeah, I was quite surprised by the Spearman Dimitri, and I went ahead and I played Three Houses. I played the Blue Lions first, which is still the best route to take, because it's the only one Dimitri stays alive in. Spoilers. I played the Black Eagles route, which had two separate campaigns in it. One where you team up with Rhea, and the other one with Edelgard. It's actually kind of nice when a game allows you to be a bad guy, and, you know, you kind of feel like a piece of and then that was the thing that really surprised me about Fire Emblem. It's a Nintendo game, but the first cutscene of the game opens with Rhea stabbing a man with a dagger. You see, even though it's from a distance, you see blood filling the battlefield. I was like, what's the age rating for this game again? Even that scene where Dimitri goes full on savage mode and grabs a guy and the camera pans away and you see him snap a guy's neck, I'm like, this is, once again, made by the same people behind Pokemon and Mario, right?
Fire Emblem is basically if Nuzlocke were a main thing.
Yeah.
Nintendo's rating for Fire Emblem is just S. Screw you, ratings.
Yeah, that's the other thing as well. Like, yeah, it's a game where, you know, you can play on casual mode where your characters don't die. But if you play on, like, the classic mode, yeah, these characters you form bonds with and, you know, develop relationships with, and they form relationships with other characters. They can just flat out die if you're not careful enough, and it makes you feel like a piece of shit. They always give those very sad last words. And in fact, I enjoyed the game so much that, hey, my first Fire Emblem Let's Play was freaking mass voted when I gave people the choice. Yeah, I'm going to be playing the Fire Emblem Blazing Blades, which was the first ever Fire Emblem game that came into the West. But, you know, what? You know, I'm really glad I got introduced to that franchise, because I just generally thought it was like some hack and slash game, but no, it was a tactical game. It's basically XCOM, but, you know, you feel things.
XCOM, but with a lot more emotion, and medieval.
Yeah, but that's not really one of the biggest franchises I got into. That, my friends, would be thanks to Leon S. Kennedy versus Frank West.
Roan.
2 episodes in a row that Sean's not a fan of. So, when this episode came out, obviously I knew who Frank West was. I was around during the 360 era. I played Dead Rising. I was there wielding a freaking clown chainsaw, slashing up bosses with 2 hits, sledgehammers, piggyback riding people who can't run, trying to get stupid NPCs to get up a step. And yeah, it was a generally fun game. How much did I know of Leon S. Kennedy? I knew he had some quotes. Like, I know some of the quotes he said, but
He existed.
yeah, that's the equivalent. I knew he existed, but after watching the episode, I was like, you know what? I'm sorry to say, Frank, but this guy's clearly the more badass zombie killer. And you know, one day I was walking.
Games eventually don't become a joke. Looking at you, Dead Rising 4.
Oh god! But Capcom, you struck gold by remaking the first game. You know, respect to you. Still need to play it. But the thing that's and I feel as though this was in a way Death Battle's. You know, it was them that got me into it, because one day I was walking into a shop called Sex. I'm not even kidding people. There's literally a shop in the UK which is like a hardware store, but they have video games there. It's called CEX, but I kid you not, it's pronounced Sex, even in the commercials.
Yep, so if you want, you can go down to your local sex store.
Yep, literally. And it's not like, oh, that must be some corner shop thing. No, they're pretty big in the UK. They're like, Sean, do you have like second-hand stores that, you know, you could sell games, DVDs, and like hardware to that are pretty popular?
Yeah, I worked at one. It was called Goodwill.
There you are. Yeah, Goodwill is basically Sex, just the UK version. Yeah, so one day I was walking around there, it was in 2019, and I saw Resident Evil 2 Remake on the shelf, and I was like, oh yeah, it has Leon on there, he was in that death battle. Yeah, you know what, I'll give it a try. And my family got so annoyed at me because I would be up till 2 AM just playing this game, sneaking around liquors, and just being like, why is the zombie not die when I shot him in the head 10 times? That's a rule! You get shot in the head, you go dead! Why is...
Up and go to bed.
It's like, why is there a man in a trench coat lifting a helicopter and chasing me? Yeah.
No, go to bed. You can punch the boulder later.
And I eventually went back to play the first game, and it was actually a pretty fun game as well. It had tank controls, so I wasn't really used to that. I rarely ever played games with tank controls. I think the closest one was like Spyro. That was like the closest I had to like tank controls. But yeah, but the reason this means a lot to me is, well, my first ever Let's Play series was the Resident Evil 3 remake. And since then, I've played... Just look at my playlist, people. I've practically nearly played them all. I've played Resident Evil 3 remake. I played Resident Evil 3 remake. I played the original Resident Evil 4. I played Resident Evil 5, your anime. I played Resident Evil 6 and I hated it. I hated it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I live streamed Resident Evil 7, which was amazing. I loved it. I then eventually played the Resident Evil 4 remake. I eventually played Code Veronica and I hated Resident Evil again. And then I've...
And then you got addicted to Vampire Lady.
And then I got addicted to Vampire Lady with Village. And then eventually playing the DLC mission. Overall, I do think Death Battle did play a role in this, because after playing the remakes, the original, I think Resident Evil series is very special to me. Because it went from just being a really scary game, and I just got to discover all the bad shit that the franchise had to offer. And I even got to see its highs and lows, like Resident Evil 6.
I thought you were going to say Raccoon City.
That's actually another one me and Sean played, and you know what? That was also a really good game, except for the final mission. That mission
the ending.
Yeah, oh god, that ending sucked. I mean, I didn't even get to play it. I was dead. I was dead in the cutscene for the final battle. Sean had to RKO both our companions. Oh god, it was a funny way to end the campaign, but I'm just so pissed off that the dramatic cutscene is just me on the floor, dead.
Okay, that's funny.
Yeah, have you not seen it, mate?
The opposite of that one glitch in Kakarot when after you beat Raditz, like, he's still standing in the cutscene.
Do you know, at some point, you know, after this recording, I'll show you that little clip because it's hilarious. But yeah, that's...
It was basically doing a Yamcha.
Yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much my big franchise. I wanted to say, like, yeah, Fire Emblem, Jujutsu Kaisen were cool, but I think Resident Evil had a special case because, one, it's still a good episode, fight me, Sean, and look, I plan another Resident Evil soon. So, yeah.
If I fight you, Bernadette would kill me. You know this.
Yeah, she has a lot of katanas. I got her one. I really shouldn't have.
I know how you feel. I know how you feel.
But mate, is there a big franchise that you got into thanks to Death Battle, or should we just let Sean have the final say? I think he already said 2.
Those are the 2 I can think of.
Yeah, fair enough. So, yeah, Sean, is there an episode that you think's really special that you want to go through? I mean, you said you got 2, so hey, I had 2, mate had 2, so
yeah.
Why don't you have 2?
Well, so this one also came out in Season 2, and Bill kind of referenced it while he was going on, but it was actually Guts and Berserk.
Fantastic episode.
Oh, okay.
Again, focused on high school at the time. I only knew a little bit about Guts before his episode because we had an anime club in high school, and one of my friends went there. And when I showed him, hey, do you know anything about this guy? And I showed him like the next time was gonna just Guts saying I'm Guts, and he's like, oh yeah, that's Guts. And I'm like, that's his actual name? Yeah. And then he basically gave me the rundown. I saw the analysis, which I still really like how Guts' analysis is in Death Battle. I then checked out the original anime, and Jesus Christ, is it glorious?
It's so good. My childhood was epic because of it.
It holds up well. The story's really believable, despite, you know, I like how they were able to interpret the manga into the anime, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Like, yeah, is it graphic? Absolutely. So they captured it to the best of the abilities that they could.
Also, I think we're just both suckers for animes where the main character has like no special abilities, gets his ass handed, but still fighting on despite being like a broken wreck.
Pretty much.
Like,
it was also like why I was also kind of excited for Guts Dimitri to happen, because it was really cool to have Guts come back.
And he got a fantastic episode, even though he didn't win it.
Yeah. You just felt that connection. Guts Dimitri kind of did what Guts versus Nightmare did pretty well. It was to expose a character and franchise to a lot of people who probably never heard of it, and both kind of executed it in a really good way. I still look fondly on Guts vs. Nightmare, again, because of how well handled Guts was in his analysis.
Yeah, I think the reason the episode...
The original anime. Yeah.
I think the reason the episode was made is because Chad really just wanted to have Guts on the show.
The passion was there.
Yeah.
And I still love... I'm a big Nightmare fan as well. And I still love how Nightmare's doing his whole, like, weakling, tremble before he Guts just headbutts him. I'm like, he would do that. Because in Soul Calibur, you don't see characters have comedic sort of, like, counterattacks like that. It's very grounded and stuff like that. So seeing someone just headbutt this possessed armor was just top tier. And, hey, they brought it back for Guts versus Dimitri. Seriously, any character that gets headbutted in any fiction is instantly hilarious.
Yeah, I just really enjoy that spawn memory I have with getting into Berserk for the first time. Although I've seen some of the CG anime, it's not that bad. But hey, Kashi Tank voices Guts, and I can't be mad at that.
It's
Who also played Gojo.
It's decent, but it's just... The animation just doesn't hold a candle to the
comparison.
It was cool to finally see It was good to finally see the Berserk armor animated. I do think the Berserk anime does deserve like another remake, just with maybe mix CGI with hand-drawn animation.
Maybe sort of something like Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
Where it's like mostly hand-drawn, but if you need like, you know, something big like say the Colossal Titan, like, okay, yeah, maybe you could do CG, but also like add some other effects to like mask it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm gonna leave it off at because I have to go to work soon.
Yeah, that's valid.
That's fair.
But to be fair, that's a good one to end on. And with all that said and done, thank you all so much for watching this latest episode of Lads Discuss Death Battle. Did you enjoy Spawn versus Ghost Rider? We sure did. It's, you know, minus Todd McFarlane being a bit of a controversial nutter. What do you think about the next time? Are you a bit more hyped in it than we kind of are? Because these characters are just kind of air to us. And is there a franchise...
Are you excited to see Shigaraki and Mahito touch each other?
Knock it off!
Okay, you were talking about... You're afraid one of us is going to make a dirty joke regarding this, but you've made like 3. And is there a franchise you really got into thanks to a Death Battle episode that you might have not seen before, or you might have just known about it? With all that said and done, thank you all so much for watching. Please don't touch each other. Farewell, everybody. Unless it's with consent.
Yeah, I was about to say.